we ran from Francistown to Gaborone. I think that year it was 440 kilometers that I ran over 7 days.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I'm heading towards my 4th car service, if I may put it that way. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
You service your car
every 10,000.
Yeah, every 10,000
kilometers.
On average, I've done about 35,000 kilometers.
On
average.
We have probably done 40 or more.
That's what I'm
but
saying.
You're looking at between 30 and 40,000 in the 15 years that we've been running. You're looking at that.
Anthropologists out there, they say that our ancestors, and our ancestors here, we're talking about hunters, hunter-gatherers, and all those type of people. They were 14 times more active than us human beings of today. So it's very strange that we have become so inactive as modern people, which is leading to disease, mortalities, and all kind of stuff, when we are supposed to be the most clever of these mammals or the species of today. So that's very strange. And I bring to you 2 special people who, I don't know how they do it, but they can run for the whole day. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Modise. Welcome, Peter.
As people, we were made to move. Our bodies were not meant to be on a sofa every day. And you see a lot of people that are living sedentary lives and they're all seated all the time. There's no activity, and that could cause a lot of problems.
I used to have issues with blood pressure. Went to see a doctor and my blood pressure was high. Eventually I was given medication. I then decided my running will have to work through this.
Yeah.
And it did. Running helps you physically, but also mentally. For me, if I'm troubled by anything or I have difficulty in something, I go out and run.
The perseverance that goes with it, the resilience that goes with it, the endurance that goes with it. These are things that are happening to you when you are running. But if you look at the ordinary life, our day-to-day lives, they're like that.
Welcome to the GrowthWell Podcast, where we tap into a well of knowledge, innovation, and leadership to fuel Africa's growth. Here, we explore thought-provoking insights and expert knowledge that empower individuals and businesses to thrive across the continent. Whether it's personal development or professional advancement, our conversations inspire action and impact. This is GrowthWell, where ideas flow and growth begins. Let's dive in.
Cool. Welcome to GrowthWell Podcast. We are bringing something really special today. We're talking health. Isn't it very strange? You know, these days are going to anthropology. And anthropology, the anthropologists out there, they say that our ancestors, and our ancestors here, we're talking about hunters, hunter-gatherers, and all those type of people. Apparently, they were 14 times more active than us human beings of today. So it's very strange that we have become so inactive as modern people, which is leading to disease, mortalities, and all kind of stuff, when we are supposed to be the most clever of these mammals or the species of today. So that's very strange. So we're going to be talking health today, and not just health in general, but endurance in marathon running. And I bring to you 2 special people who, I don't know how they do it, but they can run for the whole day. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Modise. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
So here I have Peter Tladinyane and I have Modise Koofhethile. These are the guys that have, I just don't know how they do it, but we have a good hour to share the stories of how they really able to do these things. What's in there from the mental, from the physical, really, really, really strange. So welcome, guys, and looking forward to the chat.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Rowan. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Guys, I'd like to start on a very light moment. So Modise here, we come a long way. I think maybe even 30 years or so. My days at joining mine. Somewhere there.
And from primary school, by the way.
Yes. We're back. Camp school, where my mom used to teach. So one of the things that I wanted to share is that, as you all know, The premise of the podcast is on well-being, general well-being, mental, physical, and also on just those things that assist you to live a good life. And one of the things that we did when we were joining at the mine was we are members of the Round Table movement. It's a young men's group where we used to raise funding. We used to organize one of the biggest events in Botswana.
The beer fest. We're famously known for the beer fest.
I don't know what happened these days because I don't hear much about it, but it was a big thing in Botswana. We used to have guys coming from Orapa, Francistown, coming to the October Beer Fest, a big import. And apart from just the beer fest, obviously it was a fundraising thing. Once you've raised the money, we will have people coming in, NGOs coming to tell us their needs, and we'll go around distributing food. But it was
hampers,
clothes, But at the same time, it was just the young men, boys bonding, isn't it?
It was. We had a lot of fun. We used to travel. We used to go to the bush. And actually, the beauty about it is that villagers.
Yes.
People who were sort of less fortunate than us. And, the beauty of being able to support and assist those people was just amazing.
It was amazing. That
we were having fun. We were doing something for our own country, for our own people.
And what is important, Modise, it was actually, we were quite young. I mean, you are talking from between 25 and 40. That's the range of the young men that were in the round table. And it was just the orientation to be able to learn how to volunteer and give, isn't it? It wasn't that quite special.
That's what it was. It's unfortunate that round table has actually gone down, but they are picking up now. Last year they had a beer fest. I mean, I remember they came to me, Bantabare, but can you also assist us? How did you do the beer fest? So I shared some ideas. And they had their BFS. Hopefully that's coming back. Hopefully
Please,
and
that would be great.
hopefully they'll be able to now give back to the community.
There's no activity now. It's not.
It's not as active as it used to be. So Peter, anything from your side?
Yes, I
you
think,
shouldn't feel left out.
I think you mentioned something that's very pertinent, that is important, that as people, we were made to move. Our bodies were not meant to be on a sofa every day. And you see a lot of people that are living sedentary lives and they're all seated all the time. There's no activity, and that could cause a lot of problems. For me, what is keeping me active outside of the running, one person that is keen on mentoring young people.
Okay.
I'm in Mentorship Africa program where you can go in there, and then my name is among mentors in there. My profile is in there.
Okay.
People go in there and they're able to pick up my name, and we link up, and I'm able to help young people.
Wonderful.
As somebody that also, want to give back. Giving back that you're talking about.
And just volunteering your time.
Volunteering my time without having to charge anybody. Because sometimes you're sitting with knowledge, you're sitting with skills, and then we cannot, give people what we know so that they can also grow development-wise, so that they become better beings going forward. So that is the sort of thing that I do, even locally. Not just on it, that people that sometimes approach me, they get to hear that this is what I do. And then I'll just hear one person calling me, say, I'm interested in you mentoring me, and then take it from there. So I do that quite a lot.
Fantastic. You know what's annoying is that, they say in the US, let's not talk about the war. In the US, the levels of happiness have dropped since 1990. They've dropped quite remarkably. And the researchers have said part of it is because part of it is that people are volunteering less. There are less clubs membership if they compare to the 60s and 50s. So people are not giving. They're not kind of part of that. It's not just giving. It's actually being part of a community and feeling the community well-being, feeling belonging to something bigger than yourselves. So it's quite interesting, and I would really like to see whether. Being guys who are doing sports and the discipline of sports, what is not surprising that you are able to volunteer to do mentorship and stuff, because this is very important for the young people. What are they isolated? They are very individualistic in terms of how they approach their life. So this is
Isn't it that what is happening in the US now? isn't it because of technology? Because nowadays people are more on social media. They don't interact as physically as people used to do in the past. Maybe that could be the cause of that people are no longer interacting at that level. Then one has to pick something like sports and pick something like what we do to ensure that at least there's something that is driving them to these physical activities, because you can't be seated in one place all the time.
Absolutely.
So, back in the days, we didn't have the technology that we have, and then people used to interact, physically. From that
this guy will kill us if we don't talk about YK. one of his babies, because that's another volunteering thing, which is also done a lot of running and walking and all that. So this one, I'm just going to give it to you to just summarize for our audience what the purpose of your role at YK, my little role. I know that we are you are my boss.
One other thing that you probably don't know, I come a long way with this.
Please.
During the YK, the runs he used to run all the way from Francistown and accompany him halfway from Mahala Bay. No, I wouldn't go with him. He's crazy in terms of doing
He's nuts. He's nuts.
He'll go to Francistown and I'll say to him, no, I'll pick you up from Mahala Bay to Gaborone. He did. That's what he did. When he started, the first one when he started from Francistown, I went to Mahala Bay with some other colleagues and then waited for him there.
Okay. And then I didn't know. Guess where we joined him? We joined him. No.
They joined from Brussels.
You joined from Brussels. I remember when you joined.
So now we have to save the engine. Save the engine. Talk about YK. Just summary.
I'm the chairman of YK. I think I've been chairman now for a very long time.
We have to talk after this.
But but YK is a charitable trust. We basically raise funds through walking. We say we're taking people to areas one, they are uncomfortable. Secondly, areas they would not normally go to. I mean, nobody wakes up in the morning and say, This is an organization that was started by Nomsambere. Some years back. And thanks Nomsa and for handing over the chair to me. So we've been raising funds through walks for so many years, encouraging corporates and individuals to join in. And they pay a little bit of a fee that covers their meals and their transport to get them there. They walk. The change that we get out of that, we donate to various charities. I think for the last, 21 years now that we've run this organization, we've raised well over 6 million pula. That has gone to charities. We have volunteer individuals by Longkore, and I'm talking youngsters, young people, female, male, by Longkore. They participate in this to help us get the individuals, Baba Yang Huoka, to for us to be able to support the cause of YK. And you know what, it satisfies me at the end of the day. Harris has already led these works and we are able to donate. We help communities out there, community trust, sports, it's various charities that we support. What are the needs of those communities? And we sit as a board. I mean, you are the board member. And we make a decision with the money that we've raised this year. And it has worked for us. So it's a satisfying thing. And I must mention, as we speak about health, we talk about health. We are not just raising money, but we are encouraging people to get out of, like Peter was saying, and go out there and do some form of exercise. By doing this exercise, you are also giving back to the community. You are giving back to your own country. Who will do it for us? Who will do it for this country if it's not for us? So, that's what we do.
Can you talk more about the flagship walk? Is it the midnight one?
The flagship walk, it's actually the day walk.
The day walk, yes.
We started the day walk.
Yes.
We're talking a distance.
Because I'm saying this because we're also trying to attract walkers from all over the world,
Yes.
from Africa to come and say,
Yes.
this is one of the heritage sites, one of the best places to walk on this earth, and come along.
In fact, talking about we have two walks, Tsamakadikadi. It's the day walk and the night walk. The day walk is a 3-day walk. We traditionally started off go Suwa. We'd go from Suwa to Gugu Island. That would give us about a total of 150 kilometers. When we started, we were walking 150 kilometers in 3 days. We then moved to Musu, where we walk from Musu to Gugu Island. And then from Gugu Island, we do a short walk around Gugu Island and then walk back to Musu. That would give you about 100 kilometers or 90 to 100 kilometers, depending on the year. Because if it rains
a lot of rain,
late in the year, or early in the year or late in the year, the pens are very wet. It becomes a tough challenge. Because Koofhethile, if you think about it, it's either dry, or it can be muddy, or sometimes
flooded.
Can be flooded. Sometimes you find crisps of layers of salt in the Koofhethile pens. So it's actually a very challenging terrain and fun to talk about it. So we have the day walk, and then the night walk, which we introduced, I think, 5-6 years after the very first walk, or 5-6, maybe 7 years after the first walk, where we walk from Musu from 5 o'clock in the evening, and walking throughout the night to get, the first day is like 45 to 50 kilometers. And, you're walking through the night, you see absolutely nothing except little torches of the people that you're walking with. And the following day you relax. The next day you walk back. But the beauty about it is that, and I've never seen a place like that in the world. Koofhethile is just an amazing environment. It's a special. For me, every year I have to make sure that I go there. And we normally choose we have a full moon. Now, one of the nights, you wake in the middle of, let me just say, early hours of the morning, when the sun rises. At the far end, you see the sun is coming up, and on the other side, you see the moon going down.
Wow.
Who has ever seen those? Interruption or interception. The lights, the city lights. It's just an amazing
no buildings, nothing,
so
just open.
We want to encourage a lot more people to do this. So people say they're expensive, but remember, you are paying the money that you pay. You're going to be taken care of. It's the food, because you can't take your own food there. We do that for you.
Is it on this year?
It's on this year. I was in Koofhethile on I think it was towards the end of May. The pens are wet. We are going to be starting from Suwa. We've gone back to the origin, but we can't go across to Gugu Island because it's too wet. So it's on. The first one will be the long weekend, July. That will be the day walk. And then the night walk will be in August.
In August.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
All the things that I've done with him. This one.
That's what you haven't done. It's quite an adventure.
But the other thing that
one day
you should do it.
You have to do it. The one thing that I also introduced, besides these two key walks, because we used to also do Tladinyane Hills. But it was too far and we didn't have a lot of people joining in. In 2015, I then started what we eventually called the Chairman's Challenge.
Chairman's Challenge.
And that was basically challenging myself. And that's because of the issues that Comrades. Because I want to challenge myself. But I want to do it for a cause through YCare. And yes, like he said, he joined me. We ran from Francistown to Gaborone. And I've been doing that
just for our African listeners. Maybe we've got global, so they know the distance.
Yes, we're talking distance of 400 and I think that year it was 440 kilometers that I ran over 7 days.
Wow.
And the whole thing about it was that I wanted to raise awareness on 3 key issues that we have, that the world is facing now. Diabetes, hypertension, and cancer.
Cancer.
So I raised a bit of money to sensitize people along those lines, and we were testing people, amongst the villages that we were going through from Francis to Gaborone.
Yeah.
And we found people who were basically diabetic and
They didn't know.
And they didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, when you see an elderly lady carrying, and that touched me. And we were in what's that village? That 10 of Tupikwe. No, that 10 of Tupikwe.
Oh, Sirule.
Yeah.
There was an old lady when I was arriving in the evening, running. She was carrying a 5-liter container of water. So I said to her, what is that in there? Because I thought maybe it was alcohol. She says, no, it's water. And she says, I drink lots of water. So wherever I go, I have to have this. I drink lots of water and it goes through the system. And that was a clear sign of diabetes.
Yeah.
We tested her. Her sugar levels were like high.
Wow.
Immediately she got referred. And I hope she's still alive now. But what I know is that she got referred. We referred her and she started getting help. That was the beginning of Chairman's Challenge that lasted up until COVID time. I think I stopped immediately after COVID.
Yeah. Very special.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Yeah. Guys, I mean, you can hear Chap runs 440 kilometers over 3 days. I mean, who does that? Whether you're in Nairobi, Joburg, and all that. So these are the crazy guys I'm with. Guys, coming back to the subject matter, one thing I just found out was that actually humans are meant for long distance running. I don't know if you're aware of that. This is out of research. Apparently, when we can't sprint, every animal can run faster than us. But when it comes to being able to run long distances for a long time, the human beings apparently are very special at that. So hopefully I found some reason why you can do it.
True. Absolutely.
So more should be able to do it.
Absolutely.
So that's quite special. Yeah. And then also let's just define what we mean by ultra endurance running. I don't know if you guys are able to define so that they know what you are not your typical marathon. You go beyond. Anybody can take it.
No, ultra endurance running, you mean anything more than 42 kilometers.
Okay.
If you're running 42 kilometers, it's just your normal marathon. It's a marathon. Anything exceeding that distance is ultra. And most ultras that we have in this region of Africa, in Southern Africa, you're going to find 50 Ks, you're going to find 56, and some people will do 60 kilometers, but Comrades is something else. Comrades, you're talking 90 kilometers. That's why they call it the ultimate human race. So people don't know these things. Sometimes you find somebody saying, I ran a 10-kilometer marathon. So 10 kilometers is just a run. You're doing 21 kilometers. You have done half. You've done half a marathon. Only when you've run 42 kilometers is when you've done
That's why some of us who do half marathons,
So I think, that is where, people get it wrong sometimes. But I think more and more people will learn and understand that anything more than 42 kilometers is an ultra.
So you guys are ultra marathon runners. Ultra marathon.
Yes.
Okay.
Or if you like endurance runners. Because anybody running a longer distance is an endurance runner.
Okay.
Even 21 kilometers, it still involves endurance.
It's quite a bit.
Yes.
No, it is. Tell me about it.
So anything longer than that is just extreme, but it's still endurance running. But
because it takes a lot.
More.
It takes a lot of you to actually do that type of distance.
Mm.
I mean, 21 Ks is still
quite a lot.
3 hours.
You are still enjoying in that distance. It's quite,
so guys, just anybody can start in terms of just estimation of the number of years and how many kilometers. I mean, every time I see you running, I'm like, this guy must be in Nairobi by now. Just out of running. You must be arriving in Cape Town. Just collecting. I don't know if you keep the tallies. That's what I just start with him. If you don't tally, I'm with the Stravas and the packages.
Do you know,
I know Chidi was telling me the other day that he, 1 year, I don't know, he was targeting 200,000. I can't remember now. But he was targeting some ridiculous number in 1 year.
It's amazing. You know, actually, I think I'm heading towards my 4th car service, if I may put it that way. If you understand what I mean. You service your car
every 10,000.
Every 10,000 kilometers.
Yes,
So since I started my running, and I think 16, 17 years ago, about 1, 2, 3, 5 kilometers. On average, I've done about 35,000 kilometers. On average.
So you can estimate. I know that from here to the UK is about 8,000 miles. It's about 8,000 miles. So
I tend to think Modise has done more. I'm just doing the estimation. We started running in a serious way in 2013 with him when we started Comrades. Prior to that, we actually started around about 2011. Right?
2011.
Okay, if you discount COVID, you're looking at probably 15 years, right? Let's estimate to say we average in a year between 1.5 to 2,000. Can you multiply 2,000 by 50 that we've been doing that? That goes to
30,000.
over 30,000. But him doing what he was doing, running from Francistown, he would run from Kalahari.
You once did one from Kalahari as well. That's what I'm saying. The other ones, yes.
Now, we have probably done 40 or more.
That's what I'm saying.
But you're looking at between 30 and 40,000 in the 15 years that we've been running. You're looking at that. So I don't know what distance if you're looking at the earth from Botswana.
To where? Because I know Cape Town is 1,500 kilometers. So you can imagine. So you must be arriving in Europe.
Probably around the world by now.
That's amazing.
It's quite a lot because you have to put an effort to it. And you have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you can't do it.
And yourself, estimation, half of that? Or
between 30 and 40,000.
Even for yourself?
Because
so between you and you about 60,000.
Jesus. Yes. Between 30 and 40. Because I'm averaging 1.5 to 2,000 in a year. So you multiply that by 15 years of activities that we've been doing. To give you to that. Because sometimes it's even more in years when there's more activity that you do.
and you're only just starting. Because I read somewhere that the older you get, actually endurance is that correct?
Better. It does. The older you get, the endurance
gets better.
I mean,
for some reason, I don't know.
We have a gentleman. I call him my grandfather. He's my inspiration. He is 74 years old or turning 75. He completed his 50th Comrades marathon.
50th?
Yeah.
And completed?
He completed in 11 hours, 54 minutes. Louis Massain. He's an amazing...
Louis, what's his name again?
Louis Massain.
Okay, Louis Massain.
He's an amazing guy. There's another guy...
Because I saw there's an 82-year-old who finished Comrades, isn't it? I don't know whether he's been doing it for a while as well.
From Limpopo.
He's done about 30-something.
He's 83 years old. But it was he's a green number.
He's a green number. I think he's done 30 or something. I can't remember the number.
He's done a lot as well.
The next big question, are you guys addicted? There's something called the runner's high. What is that? And are you guys, sometimes you do a good deed and then you get stuck in it. In other words, you actually do it. I mean, addiction means you are doing it to the level that's maybe destructive to even your social, even your family suffers, your friends suffer because you're doing it out of... I'm just challenging you and be honest with me for God's sake.
I would say that for me, to a certain extent, I'm hooked when it comes to running. The reason why I'll say that is because on a day when I don't do it, I feel out of sorts. I don't feel, my normal self. So the fact that when you skip a couple of days, 2-3 days, you didn't run, you don't feel, your normal self. One may say you're addicted to a certain extent. That is why you have to go to the road and do it. There's an element of addiction, one may put it that
way.
Good addiction.
You
can't something you can't do without. What does it mean? Because you can't do without this thing. There's an element of addiction in it to a certain extent. One would say.
It's good addiction. I say it's a drug. I'm addicted. Does it affect...
Somebody call AA book him.
Exactly. But is it the question would be, is it a bad or good addiction?
That's why I say it's good addiction. it affects you in a way. Sometimes it would affect family. In the sense that whatever happens, you want to be on the road. Yeah. I mean, I travel a lot. I mean, my wife lives abroad.
Yes.
And when I travel, the moment calendar, it's today.
Hit the road.
Today the weather is so nice.
Yeah.
Let me just go out. Let me go for a run. We go on holiday. I plan my holidays. It's unfortunate, runners, we do that. You plan your holiday and there's an element of running to it.
Yeah.
Or it's like, okay, I want to go and run in Australia. Would you guys join me? And I want to take along the family as well. But it's a good addiction as long as you make sure that people around you, they support and they embrace what you're doing.
Sure.
And I think that's why I'm able to run these miles without looking back.
Yeah.
Because I have this support structure that is always there.
Yeah.
And friends. I mean, Bupita, there are all other friends by Longore. I run
just
with.
join. You just call and hit the road. And it's like, I've been wondering.
The thing about you become friends wherever you go.
Yeah.
You go somewhere, there's a runner, you just, hook
Link
up and then you link up.
And now with the social structures like
structures,
Strava,
yes.
you know who's there, who's where. Guys, I'm there. I'm local in Cape Town. Who can
I run with you? So that's how it. And the thing was about it, Oban, is you're going to be traveling in a car, and you look in certain terrains. And the way you analyze them, thinking about, this will be a good terrain to run in. Because this mentality comes in, it's like you see that you are hooked. You look at everywhere, you go to certain places, you look at the certain places, you start thinking, there's this hill. One can use it for training. It's nice, this road.
Like him, he comes here running here because you got hills here.
Yes.
This is my running pad here in Mokolodi, going up down the hill. That's interesting. But the other thing is that I grew up as an athlete. You know, I played tennis, I played basketball at university. So I ran, but it's almost like you said, if I don't run for a week, you feel the body feels lethargy, you don't feel the mood, and then you just have to hit the road. But obviously you guys do a lot more. So how many times do you run a week? And for how long? Average, a week. We've been talking the big ones. Now let's come to reality.
4 to 5 times.
A week?
In a week. Yeah.
Cheap. You guys are still married.
4 to 5 times, yes. It's all, but you see the point that you are saying.
Hey.
Our families have embraced it. It's a problem when you're doing something and then you don't have the backing of people around you.
True.
And then your family loves it, your wife, the kids, they have, but they're growing up in this family in which they know that Papa and likes running. And then the thing is also, wherever you go with them. When you run marathons, when I go to Comrades, my family is there. They come, we go to certain places. When he's running, his family comes along, only when, the wife is abroad, is abroad.
Yeah.
But then, it's they may not be running, but they're running too, in a way.
That's fantastic.
So the problem can only arise if they're not supportive to what you do. Yeah.
All right, guys, you're just back from Comrades, and congratulations to you. And let's talk more about the Comrades now in terms of how many times you guys have done it each. And specifically that I know, Peter, you've done it over 10 times now. And now at the 10th time, does it still feel like the first time? What's the difference? So tell me about your Comrades experience.
Look, you mature into it. And like they say, something, you mature into it like wine, something that you do over and over again. You gain experience in it over time. So the more you gain the experience, the more you are able to do better. I think earlier you were talking about as you grow older, it looks like you become a better endurance runner. So it's actually true. People are normally at their peak between the age of 40 and 50 in endurance running that we do, the extreme one that we do. So I've seen when I started, I didn't know what I was doing. The first one, I can't even talk about it. 2013, I went there. I didn't even know there were cut-offs or anything, what was happening there.
But you finished.
But I finished. I managed to finish by a whisker. Like
how many hours?
With just a minute and some seconds left before cut-off. So I just
What is the cut-off, by the way? Just take us about the distance and the cut-off. Just
the distance
for those that have been running and they've been wondering if they should.
The total distance is 12 you are given, it's the total distance is 90 kilometers.
Yeah, 90
Then you have 12 hours within which to finish
it's 12
this thing.
hours.
But there are cutoffs in between, about 7 more.
About
Is it?
3 or 4.
So you have to make these
7 cutoffs. Yeah, every cutoff there's a time in which you should have passed that area.
Okay.
So if you don't, or you are there when time is already gone, they come, they block you, they put you into the bus. So it's been better and better, and over the years, just basically from the experience that I've been gaining. Last year was lethargic for me. I didn't know what was going on.
What number was it?
It was number 9.
Number 9.
And look, and as they say, there are never 2 runs that are the same. You can have a good run, you can have a bad run.
Yeah.
But this year for me, because I wanted to go there and get my green number award, I went there to just manage it. So there, and I didn't want to do anything extraordinary. I wanted to go and enjoy it.
What is the green number award? Remember, I'm talking to lay persons here, like me.
The green number award, you should have done 10 Comrades.
Okay, that's
completed them.
Okay.
Then you are given this.
Is that the green thing that you do?
The green thing. Yes.
Okay.
That's the green number. Yes, I was awarded that for having completed 10 Comrades. Yes.
Okay, so that's Peter's green number.
Yes, this is the green number.
Okay.
This is my number, 56159.
Yeah.
When you have completed the 10 Comrades, this is your permanent number at Comrades.
Wow.
One other thing that people don't know, when you have completed 10 Comrades, you have actually created, besides this being a permanent number, you have created heritage.
Yeah.
And then you have actually created something that your kids can actually inherit from you.
Okay.
That is one thing that people are not aware of. This number, nobody can run on this number. Should I decide to quit running Comrades, only my son or daughter
nobody can take that number.
can inherit this. You have created
for life.
Inheritance in a way, to a certain extent. So it's there for life. When you die, it cannot be given to anybody.
Buddy. This is fantastic.
So,
Huge achievement.
What it is. Besides other benefits that one get from it.
So how was the latest one? That was a few weeks ago?
The latest one, like I said, I just went there to have fun,
get this
enjoy it, because should you do anything that is crazy,
might not finish,
you may not finish it. And you don't finish it, you don't get the green.
Just for interest's sake, what is the average speed? What was your average speed?
I did this time just under 11 hours. I did 10:59.
10:50. That's why I say you're very...
Yes, I did 10:50.
Okay,
just more than an hour left for it. So
yes. Wonderful.
Yeah, but I've been able to do better times over time.
Yeah, but this time you wanted to make sure you finish.
Yes.
Like, was it downhill? Was it Peter Marisbeck?
Peter
time it was down.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where Comrades started actually.
Okay.
In 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mod, talk to us about your Comrades experience and the latest.
We actually started the same year, 2018.
All right.
So
over 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I've done my 11th this year. As you can see, the badges here. Every time you finish, you get a badge.
Okay.
Basically to show that you have actually completed your Comrades. So I started 2013 with Peter. And at the time, Nerizani, he was at the gym. I was at the gym. We completed our first Comrades. And I remember one guy at the gym used to point a finger at him and say, "See that guy? He runs marathons. He wins." And I would look at him, I'm like, Peter was a bit beefier. And I was like that, but he was beefier than me. So I'd say, if that guy can run a marathon and finish, and win, in fact, and win, I'm going to run it, actually, and I will win as well. But anyway, we started 2013 together. He was doing his own thing. I was doing my own thing. Finished it. And then we connected.
Okay.
And that's what running really does. You start connecting with people because you enjoy the same type of activity. And then we joined a group shortly after that. There were about 5, 6, 7 guys who had also run a Comrades Marathon in Botswana. And then we formed this group and eventually formed a club called Gaborone Striders.
Striders, you guys are part of the...
We're part of that.
The founders?
We're part of the founders.
Okay.
I remember we registered it in 2014.
All right. So it's just over 10 years now. It's becoming bigger.
It's over 10 becoming big.
We'll talk more about it later.
It's amazing. So my journey has been just going back. You get attracted to Comrades. You do it the first time. You manage to complete. And then there is what they call the back-to-back. So you've done the up run. Now you're going to do the down run. Then you get an extra medal that says you've got your back-to-back. You've actually experienced the up run and experienced the down run.
I got you.
And that's how you get hooked to this thing called Comrades. Because immediately after that, it's like you do your third and it's like, the next step is the green number, which is 10 Comrades. So I've been doing Comrades since then. I've never stopped. Peter, unfortunately, he had conditions that took him away for a year. He took a break. And that's why I got my green number last year. And he got his green number.
Than him.
We could have gotten them
at the same time.
At the same time. So, but it's an amazing journey. Like he says, every run is different. No matter how, the route is the same. But that particular year, it can be completely different. It's maybe the way you were training, it's maybe the weather condition, or just something, injuries, that type of thing. But it's an amazing event.
This is what I found when I was researching people like you. And it says, completing the Comrades Marathon, this is an ultra marathon of 90 kilometers, more than 10 times, places you guys amongst the world's most accomplished endurance athletes, regularly pushing the boundaries of human endurance. Jeepers Christ. That's true. This is just me trying to find out what type of people you are. So you are, if there is a bell curve, it means you are obviously one of the top performers in terms of endurance
training.
And your age as well. I mean, you're not youngsters anymore.
That is why you have this green number club.
Yes.
And it's treated nicely.
It's treated like that. So you're elite.
You get to Comrades, you finish your Comrades, there's a little tent for you guys, the green number guys. You're treated well.
And the benefits also. The benefits, and then you got a green number card, and then you get discounts in certain things, the products and services that you can get.
Global in South Africa, specifically.
And you're also, in a way, because in the Comrades Marathon Association, you have a voice in there. There's somebody in the Green Number Club that is your voice in terms of, positing the things that
the directions
you are thinking,
of Comrades.
Needs to happen. So, it's you are really recognized highly if you're in that club. So it's quite...
Interesting. So guys, like I said earlier, I was an athlete, so it's been easy to keep up. So I'm just interested to see what are the beginnings. What triggered the running? What is that day where you said, I'm a runner now. I'm a runner. Can you go back there and say, I think before we started, we shared a story of how, my fellow partner at Lead, how Chili started, how Martin got started, so it's these, sometimes it's the small things. That's why I'm hoping that our conversation will also trigger others who will say, I watched that podcast and those buggers make me start.
For me, running came in at a later time of my life. Obviously, when I was younger, I used to run 100 meters, go primary school, but I never really pursued the running. But later on in my life, you get married, you're enjoying life, and you start becoming nice and fresh.
A few more steaks at the time.
A few more steaks.
Couple of whiskeys.
You're making money, a few more whiskeys out there. And the body
I will talk
develops.
about the whiskeys in Joanne. That's for another day.
That's a story for another day, So your body also starts enjoying that. I gained quite a bit of weight. And I remember the year when was like a wake-up call for me. We had gone camping with Bo Ivan and Bo Modise after my grandfather passed, and after the funeral, because I'd organized camping, so we go to camping. So when we were back home in Gabs, I'm looking through pictures. It wasn't Nagoyadi, mobile phones and stuff like that. So it was hard copy.
Physical.
And I'm looking through the pictures that Modise took, and I see this person. I said to my wife, who is this guy? She looked at it and laughed and said, and that's you. Me? I couldn't believe it was me. I gained so much weight. Wow. So I started walking and then eventually joined YK continued with my
Yes,
walking.
the walking with YK.
With YK.
Yeah.
And then I think 2010, I used to love watching sports anyway because I love sports. I remember I played soccer as well. So then around 2010 there was a Steinmetz marathon, and I watched the guys running. I'm like,
You're watching.
I was watching them. I just went on the road and I was watching these guys, and I got inspired to start running. At the time, I was doing 1 kilometer there, 2 kilometers there, and I thought I was a runner. So 2011, I registered for Steinmetz.
2012.
2011.
2011. Okay.
And the Steinmetz didn't happen in 2011 because I guess there were some issues with the sponsorship issue.
Yeah.
So 2012, I participated, and guess what? I finished the 42K. It was my first 42, my first distance longer than 10 kilometers.
So you didn't go to 21 first?
No.
Yeah.
I went straight to 42. And I finished it under 5 hours. Immediately I was like, it means I've qualified for Comrades.
Yeah.
Because I loved Comrades. I used to watch Comrades. I was like, I can run Comrades.
Yeah.
That same year, in November, I went to Soweto Marathon. I ran 10 kilometer marathon. And remember, I used to see Peter at the gym, and I'd heard that he runs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I was leaving the stadium, I saw Peter.
That's Soweto.
That's Soweto.
Soweto, yeah.
So I saw Peter still running, finishing his 42 kilometers. I'm like, so indeed, this guy runs.
Yeah.
You
Inspiration.
didn't know each other at that time. You just knew his name. But you didn't know. You didn't know about the running and how much. Yeah.
I knew he was running because people had told me at the gym that he wins, right? So now this time I'm in Soweto. I knew he was there. We didn't talk about it, but I knew he was there. So I was trying to figure out what time is he going to finish.
Yeah.
So I see him running, and he is doing well. Ding, ding. A seed went into me that time. 2 weeks later, I went back to Joburg to run RAC, a 32-kilometer run. And I have a friend in South Africa who used to run. And when I finished that run, that race, I finished it in 3 hours, 30 minutes. 32 kilometers. And it's tough terrain.
And you're getting faster and faster at the time.
And I called my friend and I said, I finished. And he says, hell no. You can't tell me you finished. I normally take 4.5 hours. I said,
For 32.
For 32. I'm like, okay. In my head, I know this guy is a runner.
Now he's busy, impressed.
He's saying I've done well.
Yeah.
I am definitely going to Comrades next year.
Wow.
So that was the moment
the
for
start.
me.
Yeah.
And I never looked back.
Got into it.
Was it where you surprise yourself? Where you say, I can do this, baby.
Yeah.
Is that what happens? Where
the bell just went.
just going cling. Yeah. Peter, can you?
Yeah, on my end, Mod likes to say I inspired him to start, but he inspired me to do more.
Yes.
While he says I inspired him to start,
he
inspired me to do more because this man is
a pusher.
He's a pusher. For me, it was a health issue. I just visited a doctor in Bokamoso. I had a boil in my armpit, and I went just to check what's going on. I just wanted for the boil to be attended to by the doctor. But as you know, you go to a hospital, they're going to be checking the vital signs. So they checked everything. My blood pressure was up, wasn't good. The doctor was saying, look, let me put you on mild meditation. You know how, GPs like to give you something to take. And for me, I said, look, I think I was 39 or so. That was the time, 38, 39. I said, hang on, let me try something. Then I decided, because like Mod is saying, over time, he was getting bigger and bigger. I was having everything at the time, enjoying life. And
30s are very destructive years.
Yes, they are. So when the late 30s going to the 40s.
Because once you get promotion at work.
Exactly. And I was huge, as you said. It's like my 95, 100 kgs, somewhere there. So I said, hey, doc, I hear you, but hang on. I went to the road. I started running. I went to the same doctor, I think 2 months down the line, because I spoke to I was with my wife at the time when we went to bokamoso. Started the road and went back 2 months to the doctor. I was, the vital signs were different. From the blood pressure had subsided. It wasn't at its highest level. It's now between 130 and 140. They would normally say, it's not at the level where they should be putting on
medication.
Yeah, but manage it. They started managing it. I started my running. Started with 42 kilometers. I started, I think it was city to city marathon between Pretoria and Joburg in 2011, round about the time when he started statement 2010, 2011, somewhere there.
Okay.
It was 50 kilometers. At the time,
It was your first?
my first was the ultra marathon. And exactly, like I was saying, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
There was a friend of mine in South Africa said, no, let's
Come
run.
along.
My sister-in-law also was running. Then I went to run there. So the rest is history. And then from there, we kept on going. Like Mod said, formed the club, met other guys. Now we are hooked in this. But I think the point is, look at the benefits. Look at what I was going through. I don't know when last did I go to see a doctor. Yeah. So when you're doing these things, also that they're quite fruitful benefits from these things.
It's amazing. That's I mean, there are a couple of benefits, and let's talk about them because, as I've always said, I tried also to practice these principles of health.
Yes.
Eating right, regular exercises, and the benefits. But running has been documented to have specific health benefits.
Yes.
So do you want to guys say from, like you said, from a blood pressure?
Yeah.
And blood pressure is very important because, heart attacks are the biggest killers of human beings.
Yes.
Blood pressure, especially, us Africans, it's a big thing. I actually thought men, apparently even women is more than men in terms of blood. So it's very prevalent. So how, from your own experience, how has it helped in terms of your health? Anybody can do it.
It's amazing. One, it's issue of weight, right? Weight loss. You don't focus on it, it just happens because you're out there running. He talks about blood pressure. You'll be amazed. I used to have issues with blood pressure. Went to see a doctor and my blood pressure was high. Eventually I was given medication, lowest dose. Each time I go see a doctor, he comes late, by the way. I won't mention who, but he came late and my blood pressure went up. We set up another appointment 3 months later. We set up an appointment for 9 o'clock. He comes at 10. I'm boiling. By the time he comes, he checks my blood pressure. It's up. But I then decided my running will have to work through this.
Yeah.
And it did. I don't take medication. And I'm not saying people should do that.
They should see their doctor.
They should see their doctor.
Yes.
I don't take medication. My blood pressure is normal.
Yeah.
Yes, it will have spikes, but it's normal. I went to see Dr. Modise, and then we went to see a cardiologist who checked my system, my heart and all that. And they found that my heart is big and my heartbeat was irregular. And I remember that year I was going for Comrades. And, normally every year I do
checks before. You got to do checks
just to
so
make
that
sure.
you do them. Don't take a risk.
And amazingly, I'm always at top form. So this particular year, I go see the cardiologist. He checks and they say my heart is big. The heart doesn't, the heartbeat is along the way. Yeah. And the cardiologist was like, no, you can't do this thing. You can't go and run. Then he takes me and we do ECG. That doctor, I won't mention his name. He put me on the ECG machine. I ran and walked on that machine for 16 minutes. 16 minutes, eventually says, no, I'm stopping this. You cannot go on like this. And I said, what's wrong? He says, I've never had anybody go beyond 6 minutes. You've gone beyond 6 minutes. You are now at 16 and
the indicators are all
the
good.
indicators are perfect. He says, you go and run. So running helps you physically, but also mentally, for me. It's an issue of mindset. If I'm troubled by anything or I have difficulty in something, I go out and run. I'm able to solve problems of the world during that run. I'm able to find a solution to an issue or to a problem out there in the street. So it's the mindset, emotional
well-being.
And I become a happy person. We talk about happiness. And I think if you go around and probably if a study can be done, or maybe it has been done, about runners, you find that they're all happy people.
No, they are. Happy people. Most people who are active just become happy. I swim. After swimming, I'm like,
you're feeling good.
We have we do consulting, very stressful work.
I'm feeling good.
Bad day with a customer, I come here, I go running, I come back. I'm singing in the shower.
Exactly.
You're feeling good.
You're feeling good. True.
On the mental side, Peter?
I think from what Modise said, it's not only us. Even in the club that you are members of, there are guys that have given testimonies regarding health, the benefits that they got. There's a guy that used to be asthmatic. Bao. Used to be asthmatic. He doesn't know where that asthma went to. He started running, but now he's okay. So the benefits are really amazing when it comes to running. So it helps. I think Maud has covered a lot of things.
A lot of the benefits that come.
That come. The issue that he talked to earlier that I had in 2017. Much as we do this running, we must be cautious as well. I had a problem in 2017. I was running, and then as I was running, it was just like, I don't know whether you've driven a vehicle, and then there's no flow in terms of fuel, maybe it's in the pipes. Then it goes up. And I jacked up running. What's happening? Then I stopped running. I walked. Then I wanted to run again. And then the same thing happened.
It was just a practice run. It was not in some competition.
No. I just went out to train. And I had that problem. I went to see doctors, like Modise talking about having gone to doctors, and then they tried and checked what could be the problem. They did blood tests, saying, they could not establish what the problem is in the blood. I went to the cardiologist. They're saying they can't see anything. There's a particular cardiologist that I would not mention by name that somebody recommended to me, but initially, look, because of things that were surrounding that cardiologist controversy.
Sure.
But I went to that cardiologist. That cardiologist took the blood tests that were done by other doctors. In my blood test, magnesium was very low, sodium at its lowest, potassium were low. These are electrolytes.
Yeah.
Then it means as we run also, we drink water. You're losing salts, you're losing electrolytes.
Sodium,
but you're drinking water, you're drinking a lot of it. And then it drains down these things from your system.
Washes them out.
But you need them. You need sodium when you're running. Your heart is pumping, it requires sodium, so that your muscles are supple. So, and when he checked, I think one of the muscles of the heart was a bit damaged, but it wasn't to the extent that I needed surgery or anything like that. This cardiologist put me back. It just prescribed Himalayan salt for me and prescribed Slomac, magnesium supplement.
Yes, I know magnesium.
And then I think there was also I was low in vitamin D or something. For some reason in Botswana there's a lot of sun.
Running out there in the sun.
It's always
surprising. And I said, look, every time when you go into the gym, these are the things that you need to take. Every time you go running, make sure you see the magnesium, the Himalayan salt. Just dissolve a bit of it in water and drink it, go to the gym. I started doing that, and then
the problem went away.
Yeah, the problem went away. So, yes, these are good, but there are certain precautions also that we need to
I think the bottom line is that human beings have got a limit in terms of how you can go.
Yes, absolutely.
And you guys can get, because you're addicted, you can test the system too far.
Have we
had fatalities or people who risk their lives by maybe speeding at Comrades or overdoing it. Actually, that's quite interesting.
We've had some people losing their lives. So this thing is extreme. Comrades is extreme. So we've had those situations where, unfortunately, people lost their lives. So it could be some of these things probably, or it could be having underlying factors.
Conditions, yes.
Like Modise saying, checks the doctor. That's what I do. Ever since the 2017, prior to me going to Comrades, I check the doctor. After I go to the very same cardiologist now that is taking care of me. So that initially, some people were saying.
So, but generally, what would you recommend for all the, just let's say runners, even just marathon or half marathon, what are the typical supplements that one should be taking? Obviously it depends on the specific bodies because, it's different for different people. Yeah. But the norms, I'm saying this because, I just ran the 21 Ks. Yeah. I used to now run with my friend, Mr. Dr. Matseka, and he's a cyclist as well. So how can you run without having this? So he's always giving me the stats like,
it's very important.
So he says this is very important because you can, because then you stress your system because like I said, there's not enough sodium. There's because you sweated everything out. Is that
there's in running, you need to eat, right? Because your body uses, carbohydrates.
It's energy. You need energy.
So there are supplements that you need to take, either in the form of supplements, pills, or liquids, or actual food, because some people can't take supplements. But one of the, small little things that you don't, like Peter was talking about, your minerals, your magnesium, your electrolytes, you need to make sure that you do that. You must hydrate your body because your body needs to be hydrated. And then you need the carbohydrates before you go out for a run. You wake up and eat some. Don't say, I don't eat in the morning. I don't eat early hours of the morning. But you're going for a run. You are going to deplete all that you have in your system. You're going to run 42 Ks or 21 Ks. You need to eat something. So Pakela have soft porridge or have oats. It's needed. Your body needs that to take you for the 21 Ks. You don't just say, I don't need to drink anything. It's 10 kilometers. You must take. Those are just basic things that you do. During the 90-kilometer run, along the way, you eat potatoes, boiled potatoes.
Is it along the way?
Yes.
Along the road.
Salted.
Along the road.
Is it?
Yeah, salted.
Because the body will have emptied.
We're not like the Bushmen in the old days. They could run the whole of Kalahari without even drinking water.
Yes.
You need to replenish what you burn.
And the thing is, like you said, 21 kilometers is a lot. Like what Modise is saying, you are depleting these things, these electrolytes, system at the rate higher than your body is able to replenish them.
Yes.
So because you run, but anybody that's living a sedentary life is okay because can get these things just from your normal food. Does not even need
so the body is stored in there, so you're always feeding onto your system because you're not burning the energy.
But for somebody that is highly active, more especially as you get older, you need to use these supplements in terms of to replenish your electrolytes because sodium, magnesium, potassium are vital in your system. Those are major electrolytes that you need in your system.
I'm educated, guys. I'm one of those that when I go back to 21, I usually just hit it. I don't eat anything. And then around 15, 17 kilometers, that's the worst.
And then even your recovery is going to be slower because after you do this 21 kilometers, you are so tired, you're going to be sleeping the whole day.
The muscles
but somebody that supplements is okay. It's fine.
Fantastic. So, how does, and we've touched a bit on it, just you guys to summarize it as to how running in general contributes to general well-being. And well-being here, I'm talking about fun, being with other people. We've talked about health. I think we've covered just physical health. We've covered a little bit in terms of mental fitness, because we always emphasize that there's physical health, but people sometimes forget about mental health. So for instance, when you are, I talk about, I just in passing get 17 kilometers. But when you're doing a half marathon, I've done 2 this year so far. And around 17, it's not now about the muscles, now it's up here. It's just like,
mental strength.
Who's paying me for this?
Yes.
So how, that type of thing, how does it build in terms of your resilience in life? That discipline of staying. Because I can imagine that a lot of people who can't run 8 hours.
8 hours.
Who can run just hours? 2 hours. The last marathon I did 2 hours 9 minutes, and it's improvement from last year. I want to do we are competing with to do under two. So next year we want to do sub 2. Some guys are, the marathons are one sub 2 for the marathon.
Guys
are running double your speed.
Exactly, double speed.
Exactly. You mean in terms of sustaining it? Or, in terms of your question.
Just well-being. How does it holistically, how has it made you better people, better men? Holistically.
Okay,
I think because good you imagine, for instance, let's talk about the weight. Chances are you guys will be taking a lot of strong blood pressure tablets had you not been running.
No, in terms of becoming better beings, running helps to a larger extent to build your stability in terms of your mentality as a person. In that you're waking up in the morning. I think Mod mentioned something like that earlier. You're not feeling yourself. You're feeling out of sorts, and you take to the road. It helps in terms of de-stressing. You come back, or even when you are still on the road, you are a better person. Scientifically, it has been proven that the happy hormones, that when you exercise, not only running, any form of exercise, you release them into your system. They call
dopamine and endorphins. Both of them,
You release endorphins in your system. So from therapy perspective, you can see that running or exercise is some form of therapy. So it helps from that. It centers you as a family man, in the sense that you're not all the time, in a state of, there are times people wake up in the morning and they're not feeling
grumpy.
That grumpy.
Wrong side of the bed. They woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
And then you are quarreling in the family, you are going to the kids and their mother, you are having that. And then, so when you're not feeling good, rather take it to the road, and then you come back, you are feeling quite good. So it helps. And then the other thing is also of being able to come up with solutions. It's about Tselo. It's Tselo retain. And I always say, when you're on the road and then something comes up, just stop, and then, because now we have technology.
You can actually write it down.
Write it down, because the tendency is that if you forget it, but you get home, you've forgotten about that solution by the time you get home. So these are the things also that running actually helps with, besides the social cohesion.
Just to hold on that one, because there's certain clarity of mind. You're right. When you run, like I said, when I'm up there by the Mokolodi Hill, I'm like, but I never write it down. Sometimes you forget.
By the time you get home,
forget. But just the fact that your brain becomes a bit sharper in terms of creativity.
They say you're also able to, it helps your brain to, as you get older, you tend to forget a lot. But once you start running, it brings back that. You become even younger in terms of your outlook of life. I mean, this is 100 and almost 120 years.
Heading them up.
Running helps in a lot of ways. I mean, for me, it's health there. Like I said, it's the mindset. It's emotional issues. It gives you that sense of happiness, if I may put it that way.
Wonderful.
So,
You're talking about the social, you were touching on the social.
I was saying,
in terms of
the social cohesion, because Moro was talking about it, and you start finding new friends, and then sometimes you can even interact from different perspectives, or even pull certain things together. More something that maybe hasn't mentioned. We even doing business together. Where is it coming from? From running, because we came together with other runners, and we decided let's form a consortium.
Wonderful.
We have a consortium together, and then raising capital with the view to investing. So, these things happen because it's not only about running and people see you running, but there are bigger things than they just see you running that you are doing behind the scene, that some of which they don't even know about. So
there's also a sense of community. You look at running in general, and these running events that are being organized around the world, most of them are centered around doing something for the needy, for charity.
That's right.
And being part of it. Like he's talking about being able to connect with other people. You are able to connect with other people to be able to help those who are not fortunate like you are.
That's true.
I mean, when we do Comrades or Diaco Marathon, you know that you are paying in 600 pula, 500 pula.
But it's going for a good cause.
But it's going for a good cause. You are creating a little community there that helps other people. So for me, it's one of those satisfying things about
Wonderful
community of running.
Wonderful. So you two guys are better people since you started running. You think so?
Way better.
I want to believe that.
Way better.
Why should you tell me your wives?
You should better, happy,
And your kids.
Exactly. And the fact that they also love what you're doing,
that's fantastic.
It's more of a family thing. His wife doesn't run. My wife doesn't run. Is doing different things.
But they're very supportive.
Embraced it and supportive. In this, and they love it.
My son said to me the other day, Daddy, wherever we go, you're always talking to people. People know you. And I said, well, it's because of what I do. And he said, one time he came to Botswana and he started counting from our house to the mall. We get home, he says, did you know that 27 people spoke to you?
He was counting.
And I looked at him and I said, were you counting? He says, yeah. I'm actually, I've realized that you are either forcing to talk to people or people are now talking to you. But it's when you look at it, it's just because of the activities that I do. That either draws people towards me or they draw me towards them.
Absolutely. I mean, that talks to the troubles of loneliness, guys. And I think you must have heard in other posts what I talk about is torturing men, especially compared to women, because we've resigned to ourselves and these whole mental issues. So now I want you to talk to me about the striders and others. I mean, one of the most beautiful things I see around town is just running is really picking up. I mean, along here in Mokolodi, every Saturday morning, Sunday mornings, I'm joined by others. And you know what it does? That's interesting. I usually go up and down once or twice, but when there are all these runners, when I see them continue running, I'm like, I'm doing it.
Exactly. You start doing more.
Exactly.
So it's just interesting how a group impacts.
How it has grown.
It has grown. So just talk about how the groups are growing. I mean, you've got other groups and the spirit around that and whether it's a growing thing. And lastly, we touch on the policy environment. I'm saying policy because when you go to cities like Dubai and other ones, they are building safe cycling paths, infrastructure to accommodate both running and cycling and all these activities.
I think, look, I think you have made a very good observation, Wabona. I always say when we started, because we are one of the few people, because Moro was talking when he started the thing running Comrades, there were 10 of us. And we are looking at over 260 this year.
260?
From Botswana. There were about 10, 12 Botswana. when we started in 2015.
So it's almost over 10
about.
times.
Oh,
growth.
yes,
20 times.
over 20 times growth. In that space of time.
That's
so
fantastic.
It goes to show you how it has grown. And I was saying that at a time when we started this, we didn't know that we are starting an endurance running revolution in a particular way without realizing, because somebody saw us doing it. You know, when you started running in town, people would look at you like, is he mad? What is he doing? Me and him labeled in Pakalani like the men that are always running in Pakalani.
What are they running away from?
The story has changed now because everybody, finds it important to run. So this culture is growing. It was, when we started, it was still at infant stage. I used to label it that way to say the culture of endurance running in Botswana is still at infant stage. We still do not understand that. Even those that are organizing marathons, sometimes the way they do it, they focus on wrong things because they don't know this culture. In South Africa, it's old. If you're saying Comrades is 100 years old in 2020, in 2027.
Yeah.
To be turning 100.
Comrades was there in 1930.
Actually, 1921.
Started in 1921. So it turns 100 years in 2020. So that will be centenary. So it means relatively, when you look at us in Botswana, the infant stage, but when you look at the numbers now, it's very big. So it calls for policymakers, like you said, that needs to support this. And our streets in Botswana in general, in Gaborone, when we build roads, we are not thinking about pedestrians. We're just building roads. So I think it's high time now that our policymakers, even town planners, start looking at these things so that pathways for cyclists, pathways for pedestrians. We build every road that you will think, where is the pedestrian going to walk? Where is the runner? Where is the cyclist going to be? Developed countries, you go to England, you go wherever. This thing is part of a development plan. So it's very important that.
And in these cities, they actually don't have space. In Toronto, they are forcing these cycling paths, but we have space.
Yes,
we have space. So why don't we just build these things?
Even the education, somebody that runs sometimes or that walks, when they get behind the wheel, I don't know what happens. the mentality change. They think they own in the road. They don't know that the road is for everybody.
It's a culture. The culture of building infrastructure.
But the road is for all of us. Even this road that's built as a highway, you see a pedestrian crossing the road, you're supposed to stop because went into the road before you came. But you say, I
think in addition to that, what the policymakers should look at, and the law enforcement. Because I think to a certain extent, there are laws that talk about what happens when an accident happens. But yes, there are pedestrian crossings, but when an incident happens where a motorist hits a pedestrian, whether he's running or cycling, you don't see action being taken. It's an accident. Maybe the cyclist was wrong. We've had so many guys who've died on the road.
I know.
I've got friends that every now and then a minibus, the guy is cycling, a minibus passes him and they stop right in front of him. And you're moving fast. And guess what happened? An accident happens. So we need law enforcement or laws that would actually prohibit. I mean, if you go to the UK as an example or in Europe, in fact, pedestrians, cyclists, they get priority on the road. I remember I was running in a small street at some small town in the UK where there were no shoulders, right? But I was running on the right side of the road. The vehicle that was coming in front of me actually stopped because there was a vehicle coming behind. He stopped to allow the vehicle to pass, and then they pass. I mean, there are laws, and I'm not too sure about Botswana, but I think it is like that. As a motorist, when you pass a pedestrian or a cyclist, you have to be at least a meter or 2 meters away from that pedestrian or cyclist. But we just drive next to you, boom, we hit you.
It's so scary. It's very scary.
It's scary.
It's very scary.
I mean, if you remember, I think a few years ago, the American embassy had a 15 mile or 15 kilometer run, which they stopped.
They stopped, yes.
After
10 miler.
it was a 10 miler.
Yeah.
After they realized, after an accident happened. Mukhabron. Right?
Yeah.
And they realized that we
can't do that. It's not safe.
The system is not
safe
ready.
to run in
System is not
Botswana.
ready.
Yeah.
When we have Daiko Marathon, there are cones that are placed on the road to say runners keep to the inside. Motorists, what do? They go in
And they hoot.
people.
Yeah,
I mean, they hoot. Instead of just waiting there for us to pass, you can see their impatience.
Yeah.
I remember the one year there were 3 incidents. There was a runner from South Africa, there were 2. A runner from South Africa and a runner from Namibia who were hit by vehicle.
Yeah.
In the Gaps Marathon.
And
Daiko.
Wow, that's really sad.
and they get away with it, right? They get away with it. So we need the law enforcement to take this thing seriously.
What are you guys? What are these?
And I'm saying probably the policymakers, like you said, and then the enforcement should, and then also whether our laws are stringent enough in terms of having to punish the perpetrators is another issue. Probably there's no enforcement because our laws are too relaxed.
They're not pedestrian and runner favorable.
Friendly. Yes, no, true.
That's
exactly. Maybe that's what we should be looking at. If you hit a pedestrian in South Africa, you're in jail.
How?
Yeah, you spend the night in jail until it's investigated. And it's more like you are guilty before being found otherwise. It's more the other way around.
Which is how it should be here.
Pedestrian, and the pedestrian is dead. You go to jail until it's established. Answer for it.
And it sends the message out there.
It sends the message. So,
But what I think it's important for us to do, us who are involved in sports.
The pioneers.
The pioneers. I mean, we need to get together. I've actually said it in our little circles that we need to get all these running clubs because now they've mushroomed. We've got. I'm so happy that today we have so many clubs that have mushroomed in this country. I mean, it's not only in Gaborone, in Francistown, in Palape, Ace Runners, in Maung. So we need to get together now as social runners, cyclists, and now lobby government to actually look at all these things and say, listen, we need to have a healthy and active society, but we can only be healthy and active if we have laws and policies that support them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I see that the progress of the athletes is way ahead of the system.
Oh yes.
I mean, the one time when they were building these overhead bridges in town, the interchanges. I mean, I think you remember the one by that school. Rainbow.
Yeah.
You know, when the traffic was not there yet, when they were still building. Well, there were hundreds of people using it to exercise. All of a sudden, they just closed. I was like, why didn't they do a pathway across?
Exactly.
Because you want that.
You want this. Like, I mean, don't people watch the people? What people, this is what people want. And there's more people. And then the other one is this 20 kilometer from Gaps to Boate. Because now I'm still scared to run. And the poor cyclists. Why didn't they just do a pathway?
Exactly.
I mean, it's a $1 billion pull-up project. Just spend a few millions. Where we can run freely and the cyclists. I mean, this will be heaven, isn't it?
It will.
This 20 kilometers would have been heaven.
Amazing. You know. I think 2-3 years ago, I cycled from Lubatse to Gaborone. The road is very narrow. Many years ago, in the 70s, remember there used to be an ultra marathon in Botswana.
Oh, I can remember
Cresta. From Cresta. What is that Cresta called?
Cumberland
to Gaborone. 75 Ks. And I wanted to revive that, and I still want to. But I can't do it now. We can't do it now because the road is not safe.
It's not safe.
It's narrow. Right? So when I was cycling from Lobatse to here, because I wanted to test and see what is the actual distance, and I was like, we can't. It's unsafe.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not safe. It's unsafe.
It's risky.
No, great, guys. Now, as we come to the end, it's the time for just the messages to the runner out there, whether in South Africa, whether in Botswana, what you like to leave them with in terms of what we've discussed. We've discussed the health, we've discussed the endurance in the endurance running, the resilience, and also just to get them up from the sedentary behaviors. Because, hey, people sit in the office 8 hours a day. And from the lessons from these hunter-gatherers is that, that's unnatural. That's why people have back problems. That's why people have blood pressure issues in a very serious way. So how do we get the movement going? And I think the past hour that we've discussed, we've probably got some good nuggets. But how do you wrap it up in terms of just sending that message?
Yeah. Look, as somebody sees a runner running, because in running, there's the perseverance that goes with it, as you rightly said, the resilience that goes with it, the endurance that goes with it. These are things that are happening to you when you are running. So, but if you look at the ordinary life, our day-to-day lives, they are like that. We face certain difficulties, we face certain hardships in life. So if you look at what you go through running, you go through it in your life. So if we are used to running, even when certain things are happening in life, are happening to the hardships of life as we know it to be, most people that do what we do as runners are able to persevere, even in that day-to-day lives, the hardships, adversities that they come across in life. So running helps from that perspective. So those that are not doing it, I always wonder how they manage their lives,
day-to-day lives,
not doing anything at all. Because some of us are able to simulate exactly what you do in running in your ordinary life, and you are able to face the life difficulties. That is why earlier we were talking about how runners or people that exercise are happy people. I think it's important for everybody to at least engage in a physical activity of some sort. It may not be running. Besides benefiting health-wise, as we said, these are the things also that it helps you with from a mental strength perspective of being able to do certain things. And then also issues of being able to come up with certain ideas, certain solutions for things that can help you to sustain yourself in your life. It helps to a great extent. So for me, that will be my message to anybody that is sitting and, is doing nothing to say, get up from that sofa and do something about yourself. Engage in something. Engage in a physical activity. And, they'll thank me one day.
I like that.
Yeah. No, life is full of challenges. There are hurdles along the way. And I always say you must have the end in mind in everything that you do. If you have the end in mind, any hurdle that is there, you will find a way to maneuver and deal with it to end with that objective, that end in mind that you have, that particular objective that you want to achieve. So running has taught me that. And I believe that if everybody takes heed of it, because we're talking about being happy people, we're talking about a healthy lifestyle, in a way, running helps us to be able to feel good about ourselves, be happy. So I would encourage everybody to take up running. And I'm not saying people must do endurance running like we do. No. It's one little step. And don't be sitting out there and say, I want to be like Modise, who has run 600 kilometers in 7 days. No. One step at a time. Do your 1 kilometer today, tomorrow rest, do 2 kilometers tomorrow. Because it's about helping you, helping your well-being. And that will translate to your children, your grandchildren, and everybody around you. I really believe that some form of exercise and some form of active lifestyle will help us be happier and healthier people.
This is wonderful. Such wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, these two, I'm so privileged to be sitting next to perhaps amongst the top endurance runners in the world. You know, sometimes, Peter, we take ourselves light.
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys from the stories, from the badges and all that, you are there in that league. And I think, our audience, our listeners, very privileged to have the wisdom from these guys. And they say life is an ultra marathon, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
When you do it physically, it actually mimicking how you can deal with your life issues, isn't it? So really wonderful. And I'd like to thank you guys. It's really been great. Anything that we think we missed that you like to, as a passing shot, or we by and large covered the book that you're going to write together?
We have to write that book.
No, I think...
And then we're taking it lighter, but you guys are going to write the story. This is a fantastic story.
No, I think to a large extent, I don't know if Mark got anything, but I think most of the things...
we've covered.
We've covered it all. It's just to encourage people to go out there and exercise. I mean, I'm a cyclist, on the one end, and I think for me, let's get our kids out there. And we forget this. Let's get our kids out there. I think we've also noticed, and we haven't talked about, we've noticed that Botswana, if we talk about Botswana, we have a hidden gem of athletes. I mean, we now have Nigel, you name them, they are there. But we are not doing enough. That's something that we probably need to touch on at some point. How do we
unearth the talent?
And it's probably between me, Peter, and the social clubs that we are in. That we need to find a way of unearthing the talent that we have and showcase our country. And we are missing that. I remember when I was doing one of my runs, I think we Kitso. And Msedi Moholo came to me, Antare, I have a child, but and I said, bring that boy. 20 minutes later, the boy came and I was having a chat with him. Antare, he was running Alukumaung and he did 400 meters in 41 seconds. I think.
Wow.
I think something like that, if I'm not mistaken. 41 seconds. And I was shocked. And I said, and then what happened? He says, no, there was a competition I was supposed to attend. We were going to go to Gaborone, and then it just died. Poor boy. I couldn't do anything. I came to Gaborone, I'm like, where should I go? BAA? Can we do something? Yeah. But I realized that we don't have structures.
An example to pick all this.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's something that we need to work on.
Absolutely. No, thanks very much, guys, and it's been such a pleasure. And I really enjoyed this and got so much insight. So there you go. I hope that you got all those nuggets of wisdom and all the advice and guidance, and the fact that let's get out of those sofas. Let's get out of those seats in the office. Botswana is such a flat country, so it's much easier as well. So let's create Botswana or 10 Botswana into a running country. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good time and bye. And please remember to subscribe so that we can reach as many people and impact as many people as possible. Thank you very much and see ya.